start to the finish line. And if you're still breathing, you're the lucky ones. 'Cause most of us are heaving through corrupted lungs. We're setting fire to our insides for fun, collecting names of the lovers that went wrong, the lovers that went wrong. We are the reckless, we are the wild youth, creating visions of our future truth. And one of us will die before he gets there. And if you're still bleeding,
there we go. And hello everyone, it is Kristi. Welcome to the happy hour. It is so good to have you here for this show. I mean, not really, but that's what DJs say, so I just copied it. And joining me, my equally insincere co-host, Kevin Logan. How much do you love being here tonight, Kevin? With all
I am absolutely mundo stoked. This is the most amazing thing that's ever happened in the history of humanity. Kicking it back to the K-Dog.
All right. Excellent.
We need some wacky sound effects. That's what we need.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. Morning zoo.
Over on a banana or something.
So hey everyone. Yes.
Whoa! Here comes Barney the pooch dog. Down, Barney, down. Come on now. Oh.
The morning zoo pooch dog. Ooh. Ow, ow, ow.
He's just vomited grass all over the carpet.
So just to confirm, people in the chat, I see actually it's on top chat, and I'll switch it over to live. YouTube is telling me that the current bitrate is lower than 0. So if you just can confirm.
How is that possible? Not doing anything is 0. How is it less than 0?
I mean, Tony did validate us already by writing, I hear voices. So that sounds like a good thing. I'm just going to ignore YouTube until the chat starts to complain, is my general rule. So, yes. Yeah. Well, guys, we have so much going on in the world. We started off this discussion last night deciding we were going to talk about a thread, and then news just kept coming forth. So yes. I guess, should we go back a little bit? Oh, voices sound fine. So YouTube is full of crap, like usual, unsurprisingly. Now it's telling us it's an excellent connection, and nothing has changed. And yes, Tony, I did want to know. Thank you for validating our sound.
Fuck up, Tony.
Yay, they can hear us. Right, well, last we left off, it was heading into the South Carolina primary.
Yeah, and unfortunately it wasn't heading into South Carolina like William Tecumseh Sherman.
No, that's about 150 years too late for that arrival. Yeah. Circa. Probably 120.
Also, he was pretty racist, to be fair. But he did burn down even more racist people. So.
Yeah, it was like a lot less racist, some less racist white people having a fight with more racist, completely racist white people.
Yeah.
It's not quite as romantic as the War of the Roses when you think about the title. The War of the Racists.
Well, they were both really racist as well, and that was just as pointless in many respects. But they did have roses. So
well, actually, it wasn't even known as the War of the Roses during the lifetime of the people who fought it. It was called the Cousins' War.
Indeed, yeah. Well, exactly, yeah, because the combination, the Tudor Rose, which came about afterward, is why it became known as the War of the Roses. That is true. But then again, the First World War wasn't known as the First World War until after the Second World War.
Nor was the First Battle of Bull's Run known.
Exactly, until they had a second one. And they went, oh, shit, which one are you talking about now?
So these things are flexible. Yeah. How the fuck did we get onto this nonsense? All right. Anyway, so South Carolina, that was it. It was your nonsense that got us distracted. And I think if you guys remembered, if you were listening to the happy hour last time, I told you about the one expert I heard in all of the media coverage on the South Carolina poll who pointed out that the difference between the lead between the winning Democrat in South Carolina and the actual result for both Clinton when she won and Obama when he won his first time around was off by anywhere from 15 to 20 points. And so I said, Monmouth had Biden at 20, so it could be as much as 35 or 40. Well, Biden did much better than even that. He didn't clear 50% for a while. He was riding 50, 51%, but Biden stormed. Well, no, the black voters. Let's talk about what happened here. Black voters turned out for Biden in massive numbers. The turnout was not quite 2008 numbers, but well above 2016 numbers. And yeah, he just got basically almost all of the delegates, and he moved ahead in terms of the total popular vote count and completely upended the race. And then, happily for Biden's campaign, if you're a Biden fan, he also gave a really, really good stump speech that got picked up by the media. He didn't put his foot in his mouth. He didn't babble. He stayed with the emotional connection he'd made with his audience. And so he doesn't have a lot of media up around the country in in the Super Tuesday state. So he got a lot of free media right as they were going into the Sunday talk shows.
Yeah. That's just accurate to this point.
All facts. And he also, by every demo, he came in first with black voters in every demographic, with any age cohort, I should say. That's the word I'm looking for, not demo. Age cohort is a demo.
What about the deceased voters that are voting in their millions?
Didn't hear that their turnout was up this year. No. No.
Who's going to win that vital zombie vote? I
would give. I think they're on the Bloomberg bus.
Almost certainly, yes.
Yeah, because you have to be dead inside.
You can't stop in physical because it's not moving.
Yeah. The quality of your sexy dancing has been a bit low of late. You need to do some more violent thrashing with your mic, according to Flint Reed, who has been upgraded to the mod. Congratulations, Flint. You got upgraded to mod status.
Now think about your life choices that led you to this place.
Spending way too much time on my channel.
Yeah. Get off the internet and go do something productive, like vote or something, or just, I don't know, fresh air.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so someone is arguing with an anti-Bernie progressive Dem who is anti-open primary. How can I explain crossover mischievous votes are statistically negligible? Negligible. It's like negligee, only not.
That could have got very racist, but thank you for avoiding.
I was going to negligee in my mind. That was the only place that was going.
No, you were saying neg a lot, and I just, oh no, there's an I in there. This could go really bad. Oh no, but you didn't.
No, not even close. Yeah, especially since the word, it's an I, not an E. But anyway, right. So
I thought E, except after C and most other words, because the English language doesn't have rules.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. If I can just go back to my Wisconsin public school education back in the late 70s and 80s when it was still good. I don't know what it's like today, but I got a very good education. I learned about the progressive movement in Wisconsin, and I learned about why open primaries were established. And open primaries were established because they looked over the border at Illinois, where it was a closed primary system. And at that point, it was also a very corrupt time. Not that we have different forms of corruption now, but there it was a party boss machinery. And so you had a power system that was tied up with unions or other businesses, and people would pick their candidates, and then they would pay people to turn out. And it was just it wasn't a democracy. It was corrupt. And the way that they thought they could get away from that was to break the closed primary system and allow it to be not so exclusive, to let more people in. The other effect that open primaries have is that they tend to elect more candidates that are more electable to the general state, because you get more like Democratic leaning or independent leaning Democrat people participating. Those are also the people that are going to turn out in the general election or you'll have to appeal to. Because one thing that we often forget is that there are two phases to the American presidential campaign. On the first phase, the primary phase, candidates normally run to the left or to the right, depending on which party that they're trying to appeal to. And then when they get the general election, if you remember Mitt Romney's campaign manager who talked about the Etch-a-Sketch moment, that getting the nomination is a chance to sort of shake up all the policies you said you were going to do and now restart to aim at the voters that you need to pick up in order to win the general, which might be very different from who you need to appeal to win the primary. So you get closer to those types of candidates with open primaries. So that's really quick.
Although Trump didn't.
No, he didn't. But Mitt Romney did, and John McCain did, and if you just go back to, but Trump was an aberration all the way around.
Well, that is true. He is an aberration.
Yeah, even Democratic candidates. I mean, my friends who really, really loved Barack Obama, when he started to get more centrist, suddenly turned tail. So, yeah. So that's a open close. That's a rationale for an open primary. It's less corrupt. And you're right. It actually takes a lot of psychological dissonance to vote for someone that you really don't feel supportive of. So you kind of have to be an asshole anyway. And there's always going to be a proportion of people who are assholes in the population. But the question is, are those people enough to actually shift the outcome? If it's a few thousand in a state of over 1 million, clearly not. And I am unaware of a single race that was actually influenced in any major way because of mischievous turnout by people who were running against the opponent.
The Chinese.
Perhaps, not on American soil. I'll qualify my statement.
Anyway.
So that distraction. All right. So yes, we got through South Carolina. It was a huge night for Joe Biden. And then the night of South Carolina, Tom Steyer, I believe, announced already that he was going to end his bid. I think he did it at his defeat speech.
Probably, yeah. And he's an interesting one. He had a similar thing to Yang. Like, he ran a good campaign. He came from nowhere to have some prominence and maybe set himself up, although he's older than Yang, so maybe not. But essentially, he had a lot of the right analysis, but his conclusion was, what we need is a better bit of the same thing that's caused the problem I've just outlined, which is a bit silly.
I think
I think he still spoke well and brought up some interesting issues.
He's kind of not been a perennial candidate, but he was a candidate looking for a topic. He started out being the candidate on climate change, and then the impeachment person. He funded a lot of anti-impeachment stuff, and then he came in and started doing. He's sort of collecting issues. So he seemed like a candidate in search of an agenda rather than a guy who had clear values that mapped onto the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and he's a billionaire who wanted to be on the TV.
Well, I mean, he can get on TV. He probably wanted to have power.
Oh, okay, but get on TV as not as like, I don't know, like the walk-on part in an episode of a TV sitcom. Like, he wanted to be seen as somebody, which is fair enough. I don't particularly mind that. Once you've burnt $1 squillion, you might as well do something.
Yeah, I just want him to stick around and keep spending his money to help us defeat Trump. So.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if he does. Yeah. So he went.
Yep. And then on Sunday, the one I thought would wait till after Super Tuesday. So I actually put out a tweet. I almost thought about sending it out last night, but I didn't. I said everyone except Buttigieg, Biden, Sanders, and Warren should get out now. Buttigieg would probably get out after Super Tuesday. And Bloomberg should get out after Super Tuesday, but I don't know if he will.
Bloomberg should never have been in it. He's just, again, he's an aberration, really.
Okay. Well, but he's in it now. So, I mean, I think he's probably got too much pride on the line to get out before Super Tuesday. Yeah. I think once he gets his ass handed to him and he is in like the last place behind Amy Klobuchar of delegates, or maybe he'll still have fewer delegates than Pete Buttigieg. Who knows? and then he'll get out.
Tuesday and still has fewer.
That would be funny.
That would be good.
If he got fewer delegates than the guy who's not even running anymore. That would be funny. Yeah, so we'll see. We've got a bunch of states. Everyone keeps talking about California, but there are more states up than California. And
yeah, there's also that other one. And the thing with the other one is, and Texas and that other one.
Oh, yeah, Texas is up. I don't even know all the states that are up on Super Tuesday. But everyone just keeps talking about California. So
Massachusetts and Virginia or West Virginia, one of them, and then some other ones. I believe they're referred to as flyover states, but what we all know in the country as shitholes.
Yeah, and then we forgot the breaking news that happened just before we came on air.
But anyway, we didn't even mention that Buttigieg has dropped out.
Oh, is that what I said? So, for Sunday, yeah. So Booty got out on Sunday.
Yeah.
Apparently, there were voicemail messages between him and the vice president.
The current vice president, or
former vice president. You get to call him Senator Romney. Even when
no, I know, but when you said the vice president, I was thinking, what, he rang up Pence? What?
That he did not do.
No,
that did not happen. No.
No, he rang up Pence and went, "I've got a terrible cough. I heard you're the man in charge of this. I presume you're really up on the science. I presume you know your shit." Jesus.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised. He went to the Selma event all the Democratic candidates went to mark the anniversary of Selma, except for Bernie Sanders, who was in California. So Pete was there, and then he went to that event, and then later on he just dropped out. So it's kind of like you see a couple and they're still together, and then like you learn that right after you saw them at that wedding reception, they got divorced. I felt kind of like that. Like this morning you were a candidate.
They'd emotionally separated.
Yeah,
obviously.
The decision had been made, and they were going through the motions because it was about the timing at that point rather than the decision.
Yeah, they didn't want to have to answer the same question a million times at that event, so we'll just pretend to still be around. But
also,
seriously, going home with that black guy.
Also, let's face it. Pete will want to run again, and he needs to do so much work with the black voting community that he needed to be at that event. He couldn't quit out right before that because that would look pretty bad. So, yeah, and he got out on Sunday. So, again, that kind of cleared the field. And then, as we were saying, as I skipped over quickly anticipated, Kevin, do you want to do we've kind of been hinting at it.
Amy Klobuchar has dropped out, and I think fair play to her. She ran an amazing campaign to go from
did she
not a lot on the world stage to being like she was in the lead briefly. She looked like a genuine contender.
No, I don't think she was ever the front runner.
Well, before voting took place, if that makes sense, like the polling prior to.
I think she had some pops, but I think it was always Bernie was probably the strongest candidate because of the segment of the party he's been able to consolidate. And then people expected Biden to do well, and he faded. And then Pete rose up as a sort of golden boy of the moment. And Amy had a good debate night, but she's never really... I mean, I just don't think she's ever been a contender. She was never a contender.
Okay.
That's my assessment anyway. I never really took her.
All right, well, I'll rephrase. She had a shit campaign. Fuck her. What do you want from me? Anyway.
Sorry.
So she dropped out, and now Minnesota's wide open. Anyone could win Minnesota now.
Yeah.
And it's no fucking votes because who cares? It's Minnesota.
In this delegate race, probably every vote will count.
Then War Corps. I wonder who he's be voting for.
Hawaii.
Well, no, he's no,
he would go right in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. He's the anti-Hawaii candidate in the field.
He just wants to see Hawaii lose. Yeah, and then the other thing, so actually that's been on the screen the whole time. Amy Klobuchar is ending her presidential campain.
Yeah, I've been looking at it all the time.
Yep, and apparently she's also...
I assume people listen more than they watch our show.
Probably. I wouldn't. Why would you watch this boring ass screen unless there's a video on it?
Yeah, if we're watching a video maybe, or something.
By the way, a podcast came out today.
And,
Yeah, then they'll look at it otherwise. Yeah, and apparently she's endorsing Biden. So the moderate lane is clearing out for Joe as we turn into the corner that is Super Tuesday.
If Mike Bloomberg's whole thing was, let's stop Bernie, that we need a moderate, why is he still in the thing then?
Yeah, well, this is where pride comes in.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, essentially it's a two-way fight. No.
I think so. I would.
Let me just check. Tulsi Gabbard is still in the race point. Okay,
is.
good.
She has. Yeah, she's gonna run. She's not a serious candidate. She's a troll candidate.
She's still going to be running in fucking December. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, why not? Because she can raise money off a presidential campaign structure that way. Yeah.
And did you see the video she put out today? Basically, it's so strange. Her whole thing was, what's his name? The Syrian guy who's the Syrian dictator. Anyway, Assad, yeah. Basically, Assad did nothing wrong.
Oh God!
Why are you're running for president? What?
Stop talking, doing? Please. Just
why? Why is
someone turn off her mic? Don't tell her.
Yeah, she's very strange. I don't understand what she is.
Yeah, like why is she even?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure she's human for the most part, but I mean, she's like a malfunctioning robot or something. Yeah. So, but she's still running though. So
is that the only?
All I'm saying is, if you see a Bloomberg Gabbard ticket, you heard it here first, okay?
Yeah. Did you see?
I'm officially predicting.
Oh man, Bloomberg's positives, favorables, unfavorables coming out of South Carolina. He had like 30% of the exit poll people had said they had a favorable view of him, and the rest said negative.
I presume 30% of people have never heard of him. That's the only reason you could ever possibly be particularly positive about the guy.
Well, I mean, I think, maybe within the Democratic...
What even is it? Again, what are his policies? Could you name anything that he wants to do?
I don't listen to Michael Bloomberg. I don't...
Exactly. Well, that's the point. No one cares.
I'm going to guess it wasn't the black turnout that was voting for Bloomberg in South Carolina.
No one did. I mean,
he wasn't on the ballot. I think there might have been some write-ins, but you're right. In terms of favorability, I don't think it... Did you see what happened to Klobuchar, though, on her day that she got out?
No, what happened?
She had an event in Minnesota, and she was protested by Black Lives Matter about a case that she oversaw as a prosecutor.
Right.
And she ended up just calling off the event, I think.
Oh.
Rather than face them or talk. They didn't want to talk. She said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And they're like, no, we want to talk to you today.
No,
okay.
Seriously, I'm going to stop being presidential candidate and then fuck it.
Yeah.
Then I'm not talking to you. I'm going back to Washington. Leave me alone.
Well, I think she has to run for Senate in Minnesota, so she's going to have to take that meeting. Yeah,
but there's only like 6 people in Minnesota. She can go around them individually.
It's more than that.
Well, okay, I'm being facetious.
Yes.
Like 20. Okay.
All right, so yeah, that's kind of where we are, and as you can see,
there's 20 of them, and 3 of them are war corps. So,
as you can see, the U.S. trends are Biden, Warren endorsed Bernie. I think the Bernie people really want Warren to get out now, and also choose Warren. All the Warren stands are like, "Fuck, she's not getting out." So that's Twitter. I took a 2.5-hour nap and missed all that shit, and nothing was lost in that fight.
Yeah, this is a shit show. Not surprising.
Primaries are, though.
Well, yeah, and they are, and to be fair, they kind of should be, because obviously you have the more formal aspect of it that you're choosing a presidential candidate, but more than that, you're having a discussion, because political parties, especially in a 2-party system, are such broad coalitions of people. They're not a unified grouping in any real sense at all, other than vaguely left or vaguely right, I suppose.
Well, Republicans are a lot more homogenous than Democrats are.
Well, yeah, but even then you've got
you've got those different stools of the Republican Party.
The vitriol of the Trump and anti-Trump people, and people who are more libertarian or conservative or war hawks and stuff. So
they call them the 3 stools. There's the people who are like the foreign policy hawks, the economic conservatives, and then the moral majority types.
Yeah. And you have to have that discussion within your party as to what direction you want to go in. So frankly, people getting heated about stuff is fine.
You also have to field test the candidates. You have to now, look what happened to Bloomberg as soon as he got on stage.
Yeah, again, he's paying to be humiliated. I can only imagine this must be his kink. I want to be humiliated on a national scale.
Oh, yeah. And then his defense was so poor. He starts an interview and then I'm like, I turn him off. But he was saying, I'm not running to be president of the debating society. I'm running to be president of the United States. Debates don't count. I'm like, yeah, but your ability to handle yourself on a debate stage with Donald Trump counts.
Yeah, you need to be able to talk. You're not, the debate society is about being able to formulate those kind of structured arguments, regardless of what it is, basically, right? It's
and think on your feet.
Stuff. So obviously, he's not running for that, but you are supposed to be one of the leading diplomats on Earth. You should be able to talk coherently.
Well, at least Democrats care about that. Democratic voters.
Not so much, yeah. Democrats believe in that, and the Republicans believe it in a really big way. So, you know.
And, there's a lot of people who shit on the Democratic Party as a generic entity, but the fact is that it has been offered to billionaires and it's turned them both down, essentially. And we've stuck with people who are actually politicians.
Excuse me. The Bloom train still very much going.
Yeah, running out of gas.
Feel the Berg.
I don't think so, but yeah. There were 2 people who basically tried to buy their way to the White House, and Trump also did sort of the same thing on the Republican side, and they fell for it, and our side didn't, because we're looking for something else in our candidates.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, did you realize I hadn't seen the clip before? Just popped into my head. I saw it last night. Did you know Charlie Kirk was a never Trumper?
When?
before Trump got the nomination?
No.
There's a clip of him being interviewed on Fox News, and he's really ragging on Trump.
Oh, he's like a Lindsey Graham and a Ted Cruz and a Marco Rubio and
Yeah. The grift is so naked. It's ridiculous. Because I thought he would have been too young in 2016 to have been interviewed on the TV. Who gives a fuck what some little spotty prick who's 15 thinks? No offense to any spotty 15-year-old pricks in the audience.
Right.
But the point is,
you shouldn't be on Fox
News. You shouldn't be being listened to as news, makers or whatever. You should be at school learning shit. That's fine. Yeah. You've got, hopefully, many decades to grow into someone whose opinion is worth fucking listening to. But right now, shut up.
Yeah. Or don't expect to be taken seriously. Like, I'll listen to you and go, okay, well.
Well, I won't. I'm not even going to give you that. I'm not even going to fucking humour you.
If you can't vote, you can't do any damage, is my view. So,
exactly. You can't even buy cigarettes. Get the fuck out of my face.
I'm not going to take political advice from you. Well,
exactly.
I mean, look, if
you don't even pay taxes, you little shit. Shut up.
Yeah, but if we're talking about someone like Greta Thunberg and issues that are affecting, I mean, I think teens should be empowered to have political opinions, but whether or not we should have our own opinions swayed by them.
She's an aberration, though. The reason that she's such a big story is that she's an amazing 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And ultimately, she's not saying actually anything particularly profound. It's based on the science of people who are much older and much better at, putting together information. And she's gone, well, maybe we should do something about this really massive problem. And for some reason, the adults went, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, maybe we should.
I think it was more the fact that there is a power in when children speak to adults about issues that kids shouldn't have to be talking about, like being massacred in their schools or having their planet destroyed. And their innocence carries a certain authority when they are able to clearly articulate things that grown-ups know in their hearts are true. And so I think it's, she has that skill. So does David Hogg. He's continued on that mantle of being a spokesperson for victims of mass shootings, and but of course it doesn't prevent them from getting attacked, which is actually a good segue into the next story. By the way, I can tell another reason you like Zoom is because I only just in the last few minutes realized that you weren't wearing headphones.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But it takes me much longer.
I've got them next to me. I always forget because it's not. I never wear headphones because I don't care about other people hearing. So, I mean,
Oh, well, yeah, but it's more the sound bouncing off the speakers. It's when I laughed, I could hear. But thank you for doing that.
I'm sorry I'm so fucking funny,
Yes, that's the problem. You're too funny. Just be more serious and I wouldn't have caught you.
I am fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so do you want to give us a little bit of the background on this story that we're going to look at, and also shout out to the Bristol newspaper, the Post or whatever, Bristol Live, for this fantastic reporting.
Yeah, who we didn't when we were covering that beat previously in the middle of last year, we never got anything from Bristol Live, unfortunately, but I'm sure they did great reporting on those issues as well. I'm basically talking about the Carl thing.
Yeah.
So, Greta Thunberg this week was in the city of Bristol, which is a city most people wouldn't have heard of, but was famous for the slave trade a long time ago. Anyway, but it's nothing like that now.
It's a very nice, cool city.
It is. It's pretty badass, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, and 2 mediocre football teams. Yeah, come at me. Yes, and she was there speaking about stuff. And actually, a quick fuck you to the BBC for all the things they don't report on. What they did report on, I saw this week, was that she had like an outdoor speaking thing, and they tried to make out that she was being damaging to the environment because the people that were stood on the grass bit, because it had been raining and people churned up the thing, there was no grass left on this one bit of the park. And I kept thinking to myself, this isn't a story, it's grass. It'll grow back.
Also, that's not her fault. That's the planners of the city.
Yeah, it's grass.
Yeah, and it's also, fine. It just takes seeding, yes.
Yeah.
It's not like cutting down a rainforest.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so I just thought, oh, fuck them. The BBC is such shit now. It's a real fucking shame. Anyway, so she came to Bristol, did a talky thing. I didn't hear it because I understand she was talking about maybe not letting the planet die, which is good.
Kind of important.
Yeah. And people like the ones you can see on the screen, and I say the word people with inverted commas around it, decided to give her lots and lots of abuse. Lots of abuse. Now, I want to point out the one, and by the way, the whole point of this is that the Bristol Live people, the newspaper, put this out as like, look at these people, they're fucking garbage. They named and shamed, which is good. And I especially want to point out the guy in the top left has, you might see there, his Facebook banner is "Be Kind," which is literally based on the story of Caroline Flack, who was a TV presenter here in the UK, who recently took her own life. Because of online bullying and various other things. And the whole "Be Kind" thing sprung from one of her Instagram posts where it was like, at the end of it was #Be Kind, and it sort of took off as like an anti-bullying thing. So he's got the "Be Kind" anti-bullying banner on Facebook being used to bully a 17-year-old.
What a prick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, talking of cognitive dissonance, I mean, it's just balmy. Anyway.
Talk about virtue signaling.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously there's a guy in a fedora. Why wouldn't there be?
Of course.
Naturally. And about 4 brain cells.
Look at how old these guys are. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, one of them is maybe within 10 years of her age, and the rest of them are either 20 or 30 years older than her.
Yeah.
Shameful.
And she's already achieved more than they ever will, which is hilarious.
Come on, they're all sitting there with their fucking beers. 3 out of the 4 of them have beers in their hands. You can tell they're really deep people who are contributing a lot to their society.
Excuse me, I'll have you know, the drunkard is the lifeblood of Britain.
The economy?
Well, basically, yeah. Beer's the only thing we make now.
And consume.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what was the... This wasn't the images, was it?
No, that was their Facebook posts.
Oh, okay.
Like their Facebook avatars. So they were like, these people have been harassing this 17-year-old girl. Fuck them.
Yeah, and also she was targeted for a depiction of being raped.
Yeah, there was an oil company in, I think, America. I forget. Anyway, and technically it was just a pigtailed girl. I wonder who they could be referring to, and with her being
right there with a picture of a pigtail.
Being fucked from behind whilst the pigtails are being grabbed hold of. Of a 17-year-old, which is grim. Very, very grim. Whoever put that out is trash.
When we talk about canceling people, these people should be cancelled.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was a thing.
Yep.
But she was in town, and that was cool. Good for her.
Yeah, the fact that she came to Bristol. Oh, hey, want to see a nice video? Clear the negativity a bit.
Yes.
There you go. A woodpecker is mistaking a public power employee for a tree.
Fair enough.
That's a little massage, a little shiatsu.
Oh. That's nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
Oh.
Right. So I guess we can get to the part of the show that we were going to... It actually started... Like, we should do a show tomorrow night when we saw this. Well, yeah, we talked about it.
Well, when you saw this, I was like, okay. But I just want to point out that you were the one that was very taken by this.
Well,
I thought it was grim, but I didn't know about making a show.
Well, it's a good sort of how you call this, recreational social science.
Kristi, you are so nerdy.
I did this.
Who the fuck does recreational science?
I do. Like when I did my rape culture video, I would never submit that for peer review because it's
I do recreational drugs. That's the difference. Do you know what I mean? Like I do recreational self-abuse. God.
I would say that probably is a more popular pastime than recreational social science, but
almost certainly, yes.
All right, so we're gonna have to take this in turns. I'll go first, and I'll read 5 or 6 or something, and then I'll give it to you, and you can take over. Is it big enough for you?
Well, no, let's do it. Let's alternate. Fuck it.
Okay.
Let's do one each.
All right, it'll be a group effort. Let me get comfortable. I'm gonna pull my mic back here a bit.
Innuendo Studios, who's very good. Check them out, leftist YouTuber.
Yep.
Especially there's sort of mini series they did on the alt-right and the kind of how to defeat them and stuff. It's very, very good. Required watching.
Yep, and a supporter of Sanders.
Yes.
So, all right, I'll start. yesterday,
which they do point out in the thread.
Yes, so I'm not spoiling the end or anything. Yesterday, I ran an extremely unscientific experiment to check on the health of Leftie discourse. Some of you may have twigged I was up to something with this tweet. Thread incoming.
Do you want me to actually read the
Well,
image?
we're going every other, right?
Technically, that's part of the same tweet, though, isn't it? So, I mean,
All
I want to
right.
know how are we doing this?
Well, then I'll read the full tweet, and then you can also read the full tweet. I'll also I'll make the screen a little bit bigger because I think the text and the follow-through ones are a little small.
Yeah, bigger it.
I'm biggering it up.
Good.
All right. Elizabeth Warren has been Okay, sorry. It starts. Elizabeth Warren has been independently ranked the top candidate on racial justice by 2 organizations, The Root and the Center for Urban and Racial Equity.
And the Union of Black Gigolos.
No, that's not part of the tweet.
It's not, but it should be, because that would be hilarious. Oh, interestingly,
Sex
God.
workers have rights.
Yeah, indeed. Jacob Wall's been up to his thing. We'll get onto it later, but it's fucking ridiculous. Anyway.
Well, you did say Jacob Wall, so of course it has to be.
Well, basically, he's claiming that Joe Biden has gone to an Alzheimer's support group, which doesn't exist.
Great. And even if he did, so what?
Well, exactly, yeah. And not just that, but also he claims to have been talking to the mayor. The governor of one of the what state was it? Anyway, New Jersey or some shit. Anyway, and the press office for that came out and said he's a liar. He has not contacted us. We have not talked to Mr. Wall about any such thing. Literally, amazing.
Good.
Like, it's just so obvious, and his grift has become so obvious now that even journalists aren't turning up to their ridiculous press conferences anymore. Because what's the point?
It's Other than
they had this. They had it in because they're all out on the road campaigning and stuff now. They had it in a hotel, and no one turned up. like 2 journalists bothered, and who cares? Anyway, so that was a thing that happened. Anyway, fuck Jacob Wall. On to this, right? I wanted a temperature check on what kind of replies this provoked. Before I get into it, these are not remotely laboratory conditions. My Twitter following is a self-selecting group, and I found it impossible to phrase the tweet in a way that wouldn't skew the replies.
As I suspected, a lot of people assume I was saying this to defend Warden, because why else would I bring it up? I wondered if I could push it in other directions by adding thoughts, ? Or discuss, or a thinking emoji, but they all seemed likely to skew in different directions.
Simply stating the fact without context seemed like it would get the quote-unquote closest to people's gut reaction, but I knew it biases people towards arguing against the position. I'm too far away from the fucking screen. The position they think I'm taking. I did my best, but again, this is not good science.
You'll also have to move the mic because you went a bit soft.
That's what she said.
By the way, I approve. I mean, in terms of this, yes, this is not a scientific experiment, but I thought that the amount of thought that actually went into how to word the question and what stimuli to include in order to try to get at the response that they were interested in this case, the discourse, not necessarily a response to the tweet, was well thought out, and I agree. Thoughts or discuss or the thinking emoji, leaving them out was probably a fairer stimuli to see if you wanted just pure responses. Okay. Simply stating I did that already. It's your turn. Or did you do that one?
No, I did that one. So you're doing, I'm going to go through the breakdown.
Right, sorry. I got all distracted on the methodology. I'm going to go through the breakdown of responses I got. But for starters, I got close to 1,000 likes and 90-something replies. So a ratio of about 10 likes per reply. My average tweets are usually about 1 to 20, so this was either more discourse or fewer likes than usual. Again, I approve of the analysis.
Okay, calm down.
I'm getting all excited.
Are you getting hot and flustered?
I am.
Just relax. I counted the replies and broke them into categories. Many spiraled out into threads, but categorizing replies to replies gets complicated, and it was way too many tweets to count anyway. So I narrowed it merely to replies to the original tweet.
Again, I approve. in terms of methodology, the first reply.
I disapprove.
I mean, if you wanted to look at how different conversations threaded off, then a secondary analysis of replies to replies would make sense. But here he's looking for the response to the stimuli, so a good methodological choice.
I disagree.
Also, many tweets could have fit into multiple categories, so I tried to determine which category fit best. Unfortunately, there weren't many that were hard to determine. So then he's, again, talking about, like, he isn't transparent with his categorization, but he acknowledges that tweets can sometimes have more elements than one, and he was trying to be consistent in how he applied the criteria to the replies.
Yeah. Also, for anyone interested, here are the rankings themselves. The Root, the Centre for Urban and Racial Equality. Let's begin. Get out of the way, Pete. You're not even in the fucking race anymore.
Okay. Miscellaneous. Dismissive of me or the importance of the subject, 24.1%. A lot of these people are simply saying, bruh, or this ain't it, chief, or called me a shitlib. Some were quite nasty. Others dismissed that having a strong race policy matters. This was the largest category.
Well, do you want to show the tweet that was deleted, actually, but the one that I gave you the screenshot of?
Oh, you want me to pull that up now?
Yes, because I think that fits well within this category.
Did it get deleted?
It did, because he realised he'd been gotten.
All right.
So intellectual honesty for the win.
I did find another picture that I think it was Danny Quartz was circulating, which is a little bit related. So while I pull up that one, do you want to react to that?
Oh God, yeah, Jesus. So this is Shimonhead. Say, what's ISTG? Do we know what that acronym is? Anyone?
I want to say Instagram maybe, but I'm not sure. I don't speak Shu. She speaks at the level of about a 14.
Well, no, I'm going to pronounce it as it's Istk. My entire shitlord life of screaming at McFeminism was preparing me for this primary. And then Peter Coffin responds with a amazingly fresh gif of Emperor Palpatine saying, "Good."
Seriously.
That is cancer piled upon AIDS.
They're trash. They're both of them trash. Yeah. All right. So yes, this was the response. While Kevin was doing that one, I pulled this up.
So definitely not a reactionary gobshite. Peter Coffin says in response to the original tweet, just ugh. Yep. Thanks for that deep insight, Pete.
Yeah, he actually quote tweeted it and probably drove his own shitlordy kind of fans over to it. Yeah. So he probably helped to produce the response.
But Kristi, those three characters, I think, explain a real deep understanding of the philosophical underpinnings of American politics.
Honestly, I'm glad he didn't mention social capital.
I'm surprised Guy Debord didn't make a fucking thing, a reference. Be referenced in his response, yeah. Or fucking going about escaping castles or some dumb shit. I don't know.
Look, he had Bernie and SC. Oh, to live in hope. All right. Okay, so...
Well, no, that stands for Bernie in Shitlord Castle.
There we go. That's right. You said it, not me. All right. So yeah, the most in terms of lefty discourse, the largest category was.
That's really. I mean, we've talked about this. Well, actually, I think we talked about this off air, didn't we?
I swear to God. I swear to God. That's. Thank you, chat, for coming through with the ISTG.
I swear to God. Oh, okay, right. There you go. Right. So thank you. Yeah, I boomer hour with Kevin Kristi. Kevin Kristi's boomer shit lib hour.
Well, I don't know if June would just learn to talk like a grown-up.
Yeah.
She's going on 30, isn't she?
You can use words.
I mean, fair enough if she was words. Like 21 even, but she's getting to be 30, so. Yeah. Anyway,
you just don't get it, Kristi. You don't get it.
Know.
You're not down with the kids.
I guess maybe the thing is that I don't say I swear to God because I'm an atheist. So those words don't really come out of my mouth.
Well, no, I do. I say all that kind of shit. Like I say, for God's sake, or if it was for the love of God is a thing I say a lot.
Oh, I don't.
I don't believe it's a thing.
As soon as as soon as I heard the phrase "for fuck's sake," I immediately stopped using "for God's sake" and instead adopted "fuck" instead.
But yeah, but that's the thing. You're a really nice person who doesn't swear that much. I have to actively try to cut down the swearing as much as possible. It's a real struggle for me.
I have to go. Yeah, I learned. I never swore around my mom, so I started off with clean speech, and then my outside talk, I turn that on and off, and then I'd come back into the house. So I still don't swear in front of my mom to this day.
Oh, I swear in front of my parents. I don't give a shit.
My dad, I will say shit in front of him.
When my dad rings me up, I'll go, "You're right, dickhead. What are you up to?"
Yeah, but there's that guy thing. I think my dad swears around my brother a lot more than me, so it's probably very gendered in that way as well.
And actually, we've become that person now. After, oh god, this is going to get a bit deep. After he had his prostate cancer, we stopped being father and son and became sort of friends.
Aww.
Because I saw him as a human being, because he went through all of that, and I tried to help him and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And what really spoke me off was he came in one day and went, "You're right, prick. You want a cup of tea?" And I thought, I've never felt more seen. Like that was affirmation for me. It's beautiful.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although my favourite thing my father ever said was, we were going through some financial troubles back in the day. He just lost his job at the car factory and all the rest of it. And he said, amazing phrase, "We might have to scrape the cheese off your knob and have it between two slices of bread."
Oh,
there you go. It was only like a joke, but he genuinely said that. And I remember thinking, that is the most disgusting thing any human being has ever said. I love it. Anyway.
Yeah, I understand you so much better now, Kevin. Like,
yeah.
I feel...
yeah, I've opened a window into my soul there, people. Yeah. Don't hurt me. Anyway, so the thing I was going to say, we talked about off air, because I couldn't remember his fucking name, but Dennis Kucinich, back in the day when he ran in 2008. And he actually ran, I think, probably not as left a platform as Bernie Sanders is currently running on, which I suppose is a sign of the Overton window times or whatever.
I hate that phrase.
And I remember the left, I don't like it either, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Zeitgeist.
Yes,
yes, because the left have been, especially in America, look, it's less of a problem in many European countries, including Britain, where there is something of a leftism within broadly mainstream politics. Not enormously so, but it's there. There's something to sort of, you could, if you want to grasp at straws, you can grasp. Whereas in America, the left have been so starved, when they get that one candidate who's like out there, they tend to go really overboard with it. And we saw it to a degree with Kucinich back in the day, but because he wasn't in the race that long and he was never like a serious candidate, but he appeared on a few of the kind of debate stages or the CNN town hall fucking shit. Those are so pointless. Anyway, I remember the left getting really kind of hysterical about it a little bit back in the day, and unfortunately we're seeing a little bit of that now. And the fact that this was and again, it's unscientific, that's been pointed out, but the fact that this category was the most important, the largest category, with nearly a quarter of all the replies being essentially some variant on "shut up" or "fuck you," is very unpleasant. That's not good.
Yeah. Agreed.
There we go.
Yeah, you're up.
Oh, yes. Okay. So miscellaneous, dismissive of Warren, 19.5%. A catch-all for things like "she's insincere" or "she's a liar," or most commonly, "it doesn't matter because she doesn't have the delegates to win." The latter assumes the only reason to bring up her race policy is to secure your vote.
Yep.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's the thing. It's such a bizarre system where people are treating this like it's the general election. Which obviously, not only is it not, but you have to go into it in a different way. You're not voting for the person, well, I suppose you are to a degree voting for the person you want to be president, but you're voting for the person in the field you most like, the person whose policies you most like, the person,
or the person you think can get elected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are a number of different things you can take into it, but it doesn't have to be just because she doesn't have the delegates to win doesn't mean that people who support her shouldn't vote for her. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, this is an unfortunate thing. And again, I'm going to point out, I want Bernie Sanders to win, but if Bernie Sanders doesn't win, it's not the end of the fucking world, because Bernie Sanders is not going to bring about a revolution, people. It's not going to happen. So I don't know why these revolutionary people are getting that het up about it. They're only going to be disappointed if he becomes president anyway.
Yeah.
Because at best he's going, even best case scenario, he changes things for the better, but it's still reasonably peripheral. Because he's still going to have to deal with it. Even if he gets a majority in the Senate, it's going to be razor thin.
Yeah, he's still going to have to bring on policies on board that you can win Joe Manchin. And Democrats that have, where Trump won before and they won in 2018. If they hold their seats in 2020, they got to win again in 2022. So look, if we get a Sanders presidency, I am looking forward to seeing the end on the contraception, the abortion gag on international family planning funding. I'm looking forward to an immediate overturning of all the executive orders that Trump did in the first week.
Let's not have children in cages anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Be good.
Unilateral changing of the ICE and the priorities for dealing with people who are in the country without documentation. I think that there's a lot of really positive, powerful things any Democrat in the White House can do. Even Bloomberg would do that, but I believe in my heart that the Sanders would do that as well.
I don't think Bloomberg would get rid of the children in cages.
No, he would.
I don't think he cares. I think he's happy to play to a racist constituency. He did it in New York. I'm sure he'll do it again.
I disagree with that 100%, but it's a side issue because he's never going to be president. So anyway,
untrue. Bloomberg 2020.
There you go.
Although, is it appropriate to do that joke, having just pointed out that serious qualm I have with him?
Yeah. So
that seems entirely inappropriate.
Sean in the chat says, "Fuck Joe Manchin. I would always rather have a Dem that I hate in a seat than a Republican who is voting against the policies or voting for policies I can't stand. I will take a crappy Democrat over even a good Republican. I will take Joe Manchin over I keep mixing up my white women. Susan Collins, any day of the week."
No, Susan Collins will happily pretend to be a decent person and then vote for the exact opposite.
Yeah, because a Dem in that seat is one seat closer to the Democrats having the majority, and that means shitty bills don't get put up at all. So he's a firewall. See him as part of a team, not just an individual. This is why we need to be able to be electable across a wide variety of of states. So anyway, the idea that
but still fuck Joe Manchin though. Look, I'm not saying there aren't worse options, but still fuck him.
Well, he can get elected there, and if he does good 9 times out of 10, if he's he did vote for impeachment. He has taken risky votes in the past, and he doesn't always go the way we want, but I think he tends to vote when it's already overwhelming and it's not going to make a difference. I don't remember Joe Manchin ever casting a vote that was decisive. He might have done some ass covering.
Okay. Well, exactly. Yeah, but if your best defense of him is he's largely inconsequential.
No, like when he decides to take a political vote, it's without consequence.
Yeah.
And he could have tried to play to Trump's base by voting against impeachment because he would have got a lot of play out that, but he stood with the party and denied them that talking point. So, I don't always like his stuff either, but I'm also not just going to shit on him broadly because we need people like him in states like that, in my opinion. That's the party I want to be a part of. One that wins. All right. The next category. This might be a good time to remind people that I have publicly stated repeatedly that I am voting for Bernie Sanders. That's not me. I'm obviously reading the tweet.
Which you would think that people like Peter Coffin would know because
I'm sure he keeps a list.
That same ballpark. Well, no, but it's in the same ballpark and has come out publicly and said he's supporting Sanders. Would you think someone in that same, someone who mixes in that same circle of YouTube personality, political fame, whatever, who also supports the same candidate, you think they'd know, but apparently not. And apparently just pointing out facts that are inconvenient is ugh. Which is that the leftist version of fake news now? Just say ugh to things you don't like.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is what I mean. Look,
and
I support Bernie Sanders, and I want him to become president of the United States. Okay, but he's not some perfect demigod who is beyond reproach. There are issues, and there are things that other people are better at, and that's fine. If he wants to play it that way, he can have like a bigger tent approach to it and have her as fucking Secretary of State or whatever, or his running mate.
He can have Kamala Harris as his VP.
Well, yeah, there are a number of things he can do. That's the point. Because there are weaknesses that he needs to strengthen up, and that's fine. And criticizing someone doesn't mean a lot of these fucking Bernie bros or whatever. I know that's an overdone thing.
I prefer burners because it's gender neutral.
Okay, the burners, whatever. Those fucking people, those intolerable twats, do this thing where if you criticize Bernie in any way, they'll come out and say, "Oh, so you don't support universal healthcare?" Mm-hmm. What? When did I say that? I just said he probably should have turned up to the LGBT event. Like, that's not that. No, that doesn't change my opinions on the fact that I don't want poor people dying because of lack of healthcare. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pulling a Dave Rubin here. This is a good faith criticism of someone I like, rather than a bad faith criticism of someone I'm being paid not to like.
Yeah, and if you're just firing indiscriminately, you're going to hit people who agree with you, and you're going to piss them off.
And I've said this before. You're going to need tens of millions of people who wouldn't naturally be Bernie Sanders supporters to vote for the motherfucker for him to become president. So please stop pissing people off. I know usually it's sort of safe to be like on the internet to do a kind of cool detached thing of like, oh, I don't give a fuck what people think. But in a ballot box, you do need those people on your side. There's no amount of ironic memes or ugh or fucking stale Star Wars references that you can make that get you around an electoral loss.
Yep, or rat emojis or snake emojis or primary people in their own state or doing hashtags about having them drop out like last week.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
Doesn't win hearts and minds.
No. Anyway,
next
but then
category.
I suspect a lot of people aren't trying to win hearts and minds. They're trying to do a leftist version of the grift. Anyway.
By the way, before we move on, I just want to shout this out because there is a fundraiser going on for the Trevor Project. The Cognitive Society jumped into the thread to promote that event.
On the non-compete channel. I was on it. Oh shit! What day was it? Saturday or Sunday? I went on for a bit and had a chat with some peeps. That was cool.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a link in the chat to that.
Yeah, go and give money to an awesome charity. Trevor Project does stuff with LGBT people and their mental health issues. So go and support generously.
Yep. Okay.
Anyways, back to this awfulness. Warren is a racist. 12.6%. Usually centering her having claimed for a long time to have Native American heritage. A lot of insisting Sanders is better on race, either citing things he said or the way his economic policies will help people of color.
No one, I think sick, pointed to anything Sanders had actually done for Black people during his time in office, nor any specifically race-oriented policy he's proposed, which is one of the complaints in the surveys.
Yeah, I think a lot of Black people and a lot of Latinos as well see that, I mean, yeah, they may support the economic policies and all the rest of it, but just saying, oh, well, if we have economic justice, Black and brown people will be better off. That's not a race policy, is it?
No.
I mean, it may help those people, sure, and that's good. And I think that's one of the reasons that I like Bernie Sanders, is that I think his economic policy does was it the rising tide lifts all boats type thing? That's cool. But the point being is that when you've got a specific problem with specific things like LGBT people or Black disenfranchisement or Latino people or Chinese people or whatever being the butt of racist shittery in your country, just saying, oh, well, if we do this, essentially, I mean, I don't think Bernie Sanders is a class reductionist, but I think a lot of his fans are. A lot of his hardcore, those burner people are. When you do that kind of version of class reductionism, of basically saying to Black people, yeah, we'll do our revolution first, and then it'll just fall into place and the racism will stop. That's going to piss a lot of people off. Don't do that. Yeah, taxing the rich will help Black people in America. It's not going to solve the problems, though.
Yeah, because racism is its own thing. Like, you can't, giving people money doesn't solve racism. White people who are rich are not less racist because they have lots and lots of money. That's not how that works.
Yeah,
So,
otherwise the guy in the White House would be very different.
Also, the systems in place currently skew things in favor of whites. So, you have to actually adjust the problems in the system.
Yeah.
You can't just deal with the economic of your employment if you've got a job. So, and how that is. All right. So anyway, okay, let's see. I think you're next, right?
I'm next. Okay, right. Also, I would like to see someone engage with the fact that Sanders is weaker on race than a white lady who falsely claimed to be Native American. If you're saying Warren's a racist, what does that say about Sanders? ? Bracket.
Next category. Dismissive of the validity of the articles, 11.5%. Most of these...
This is more fake news.
Yep.
Oh, stop.
Most of these were centered on The Root, questioning their methodology, calling them neoliberals. A couple people assumed they're white. Oh my God, The Root. The writers, maybe, I don't know who he's talking there. But most glossed over that Cure came to the same conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just dismiss. That's what Trump does, you fucking idiots. You can't just dismiss things you don't like. There are uncomfortable truths in the world, and that's fine, but you have to acknowledge them and deal with them.
Yeah. Agreed. Because otherwise you can't fix them if you don't admit there's a problem.
Indeed. Look, see coronavirus in America.
Oh my God.
Anyway, attempt at nuanced discussion, 9.2%, which is fucking depressing. Right. No, nuanced discussion isn't depressing. The fact that less than 10% of it was nuanced discussion. Yes. Although, again, it's Twitter, but yeah, anyway. People engaging with the subject or asking questions. Many were still critical of Warren, but allowed the possibility that a flawed candidate can have some solid policies, or that Sanders can be the best option, yet still have failings.
That would be you.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone who could be president is not going to be perfect. And that's fine. I'm not asking anyone to be perfect.
But you're asking them to be willing to be better.
Yeah, that's fine. I think to be fair, Sanders has with things like gun rights. He was previously shit. He's now a lot less shit, and that's cool. So that's what you want. I mean, this whole thing about being principled for the sake of being principled is sort of silly, actually. That some of the greatest changes that have ever occurred via democracy have been based on the idea that leaders change their mind because of changing circumstances. And that's fine. That's cool. And pointing that shit out doesn't mean I don't want there to be a wealth tax or I want a US government to invade everywhere. That's ridiculous. Straw man bullshit. Don't fucking pull that on me. Because I will tell you where to fucking go and have to start a new Twitter account.
So please, he's been through a couple already. Don't do it.
Exactly. I'm catching up with Carl, and that's worrying.
Unrelated 8%. Memes, GIFs, non sequiturs with no real content. Also, one racist guy calling The Root the Melanin Brigade. Fucking assholes. All right. We're done with Ollie. We watched Ollie flash in the screen, so that's enough.
He's a good-looking chap, though.
Yeah, but not with that little flashing light thing over and over again. Yeah,
that's true. Anyway, insert political subject here is more important. 6.9%. Nice. See, because it's 669. Nice.
Oh, right. Sorry, I completely missed that. I was off thinking about Medicare for all, clever. And you're thinking about sex.
I don't see why the two have to be entirely separate.
Not necessarily, but maybe not at the hospital, given all of the possibility to catch.
Well, fuck it. If coronavirus is going to kill you, you might as well get your end away one last time.
There you go.
Fuck it. Look on the bright side.
Go find a cleaning cupboard.
Exactly, yeah. You have to bury me with a boner bump in the coffin. Anyway.
Peter,
Bernie,
what?
Because I would die with an erection.
Your Peter coffin?
No. He's a married, or they are married.
No, but that's person. The last time that you have sex is with your Peter before it goes into your coffin.
Go to bed. Anyway, Bernie is better or Warren is bad because of Medicare for all, foreign policy, the economy, etc., etc. Sometimes had the soft implication that racially inclusive policy, economic policy, is as good / better than explicit race policy, which is the thing I pointed out a second ago.
Yeah. I kind of, when Bernie talks about environmental justice, I read that as he's giving code to the black community.
What do you mean?
Well, at least with in terms of pollution and where it's centered geographically, there is a high correlation between being a poor area, an African American area, and having dumps by you or chemical plants or other shit like that. And so for me, environmental justice isn't just global. It's also, when I think about domestically environmental justice, it's dealing with that kind of racism of where we put our garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not an explicit policy on race or ethnicity or racism.
Yeah, that absolutely, yeah.
All right, next tweet. This is a good time to state, yet again, that healthcare policy and race policy are not things we have to choose between. There's literally no reason Bernie Sanders can't give us M4A, well, it's actually Congress, but I understand word count, and have a strong platform on race. Social justice is not a dump stat.
Well, what I will say is when he says give us M4A, I don't think it literally means it's a shoe-in that he'll pass it. But the point is his policy platform can give us M4A and have those other things as well. Is what I think is trying to be said there.
Okay, as policy, within a policy framework. Okay, fair enough. Not an implementation. Okay, I'll take that reading. That seems fair given the context. Everything else is policy. So I retract my earlier statement as incorrect.
Exactly. Right, continuing. Miscellaneous, supportive of Warren, 5.7%. People saying, quote, good for her, unquote, or, quote, that's why she gets my vote, unquote. Or complaining about all the people shitting on her in the replies. Which is cool. As you can see, there were not actually very many of these. Grim.
Miscellaneous.
This is the odd thing, isn't it? This is the one that's really strange. It's not. They're not replying to say actually Sanders is awesome. They're just replying to be dicks in many respects. Which, yes, it's Twitter, so you kind of expect that to a degree. But when only 1.1% are actually going, no, Sanders is awesome, that's got to be a bit worrying, hasn't it?
On a Warren thread?
Yeah. Well, no. The point is, he's trying to get Bernie supporters to respond to check where they're at. Right? That's the whole sort of experiment. And only 1.1 of them are actually being supportive of Sanders rather than being dismissive or abusive or whatever. Yeah. That's not cool. That really doesn't speak well to the Bernie Twitter brigade, which is a fucking shame.
Yeah. So
because to be fair to Bernie, he has come out and explicitly said, if you're abusive, you're not part of my fucking movement. He didn't swear because he's not a gobshite on me. But the point is, I think he's done about all he could in terms of publicly speaking out about that.
But then he walked it back and he blamed it on Russians, and he's not really brought it up since.
Well, there's no doubt there's like an element of like this, the far right 4chan dickheads trying to stir things up. How much of a percentage, I don't know what that is, but there's definitely like an element of that. I've seen that. There are threads I've read about that on various of the boards. Which is very
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of stuff. So, okay, moving on. Miscellaneous supportive of Sanders, right? That's where we were?
Yes.
Yeah. One person just hoorah'd Sanders without acknowledging the subject at all.
Also, hoorah'd. Yeah. That's an awesome word.
That is good.
Cool.
I'm glad I got to say it.
Which was exactly the same percentage as the next one. Figured out I was fishing for replies, 1.1%. Also, one person gathered that I was probably up to something.
Nice. All in all, when stating that Warren had been ranked the top candidate on race by two different groups, 74.6% of the responses were some flavor of negative, often hostile, and many insulting me personally for bringing it up.
And that's ultimately the problem. There's a video by a guy I like called Re-Education, who I think does good videos. Who I've seen you arguing with on Twitter, but let's not get into that. But I think just generally pretty good analysis of things about this as a response to this thread. And I'm sort of worried about watching that video, to be honest. But I only saw it just before we came on air, so
okay.
I haven't had a chance to watch it. But I'm worried about what it's going to say, because often when you point out, there's been some Bernie people who are dicks, the Bernie dicks come out and go, no, we're not, you fucking prick.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, that's well done. Your level of self-awareness is astonishing.
Yeah. Yep. My days of taking you seriously are certainly coming to a middle.
It's not the beginning of the end, but it's at the end of the beginning.
That's to quote Firefly, by the way, Captain Mal.
I don't.
Oh, you should watch Firefly. You would love it, honestly.
I think probably wouldn't. No,
I think you would. We're gonna. All right, if I come to Birmingham, we're gonna visit the bull ring.
Well, you're gonna have to pronounce it. You're gonna have to pronounce it correctly before we let you come in. Birmingham. Yeah.
Birmingham, and then we're gonna binge watch Firefly.
Well, actually, in my upcoming history of Birmingham, I do a bit of local dialect speak, and I don't translate it for you, and I want to see if you can translate it. I'd be very surprised. Anyway, this me now.
Yes.
Yes, this is again without stating whether this speaks well of Warren, even if that is the most. Hang on, let me read that again. This is again without stating whether this speaks well of Warren, even if that is the most common assumption.
I think it's about insulting him personally. Maybe it's tied to that. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it should be it'd be the most common assumption is noteworthy, which is true. You can't just be pointing out a thing. It has to be, I want you to vote for Elizabeth Warren. Because everything has to be seen as like you doing propaganda. No, sometimes you just go in, oh, this is a thing. That's interesting. Cool. Or indeed, you're doing a social experiment.
Might be that too.
Which, let's say, intellectual elephants fall into their trap.
Yes. All right. Moving on. As I said, I'm voting for Sanders, but I'm uncomfortable with the feeling that I have to keep repeating I'm voting for Sanders for people to take me seriously.
Which you may have noticed I've already had to do that in this. Because I'm like, people will be like, oh, you're just a Biden shit lib. No, I'm really fucking not. I don't want, I mean, if he's the candidate, I want him to become president just because the other option is fucking dreadful. But speaking now, I don't want him to be president. I think he's creepy and a bit old and going a bit senile. It's not ideal at the start of your fucking term. Jesus. Anyway.
Which is why his VP pick will be really important. No, I did that. I'm voting for Sanders. Take me seriously. You're on that any acknowledgement.
Oh, sorry. Okay. That any acknowledgement that Sanders has weaknesses, that Warren can be better than him at literally anything, is treated as heresy. That even implying race is important too got me called a capitalist. Oh, God, there's so much to unpack there. Yeah, that's a thing I already pointed out, isn't it? That saying that this person might be better than your hero is treated as some sort of, heresy is the word. And that happened. You got called a capitalist.
Yeah.
What is, being a certain race that's not an economic thing.
Well, it's not, but not putting economics first must mean that you're a capitalist. If you don't want to overthrow the capitalist system first and foremost, I think that's the framing.
Well, true, but I mean,
it's sad, silly, but it's there.
Yeah.
So he goes on, or they go on, I should say. I don't know, so I'll say they. I've been wondering for a long time whether the lefty discourse is unhealthy or if I'm just hyper-fixating on a handful of negative experiences. But this feels like partial confirmation. The statement that Warren is better on race than Sanders should not meet with 75% hostility.
Yeah, that's such a profound... That last sentence sums it up really well.
Yep.
Yeah. I would like to remind everyone that every single policy Sanders is proposing will exist under capitalism, that voting for Sanders is not bucking the system but participating in it, and that he is proposing a European model of, quote, capitalism with more regulations, unquote. Exactly. Literally the point I made earlier. Although I'm saying that as if I haven't already read the thing, but it's a point I already agreed with.
Yeah.
Sanders isn't going to be doing a revolution. It's going to be, at best, nicer capitalism.
Yeah, because the Constitution doesn't allow for revolution. The framers made it so that you can't do revolution from within. They split up all the power and they gave the courts some of it.
Although, to be fair, that only came about because of a revolution. Oh, it's a dichotomy.
Isn't it
anyway,
just, though?
Yeah. And, of course, if the government goes tyrannical, the blood of patriots and the tree of liberty and all that jazz. But, realistically speaking... Bernie Sanders is just a dude who's going to vote for some stuff. That's okay.
He'll sign legislation brought to his desk.
Yes. To be fair, he will cease to be a senator anymore, so he won't be voting for shit. But he'll be either signing or vetoing shiz.
Yep, and doing executive orders and
Yeah.
administering the executive branch departments.
And playing a lot less golf.
Oh my God, so much less. All
Because
right.
he doesn't play golf. So he played 100% less golf.
Yes. They go on to write, and in my opinion, that's the best we've got on offer. And it's a deeply compromised position as far as I'm concerned. And making Sanders the avatar of the American left does pull the center toward the left, but it also pulls the left toward the center if you let it.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the people who are on the more extreme end of the left have softened their positions in order to be okay with Sanders, to get on the Sanders train. So that's what has happened. Whether that's a permanent change, I doubt it, but...
And Bernie is going to have to start appealing to other parts of the Democratic base and independent voters, and he's going to have to move toward the center to get those people.
Yeah. Although I think that everyone will be fine with that on the left, actually, because if they get the candidacy, I think they're happy to sit there and do... it's very easy, I suppose, to be like on the outside shouting, but they're going to have to be really strict about like essentially keeping it in their pants, so to speak, when it comes to Bernie being the candidate, because he's going to have to say things they don't like, they don't agree with, and that he almost certainly won't even try and implement if he becomes president, but he has to say them, to win those votes. So I think they'll be okay with that, by basically going, yeah, he doesn't really mean it, if that makes sense, which I think is probably going to be true, because he probably won't mean it.
Well, I'm not going to speculate on your speculation. I'll just leave it sitting there. I think you're next.
What chafes or even chafes me about the treatment of Warren is that she's advocating for more or less the same, and I prefer Sanders merely because he goes farther in some areas, but Warren calls this what it is, liberal capitalism. Sanders calls it a revolution. Yeah. There is, I've said this before, and I said this fucking years ago, before he even ran for president ever, when he called himself a socialist. And I remember thinking, you're not. Mm-hmm. Why are you calling yourself that? That's ridiculous. It makes it less likely you're going to be elected to any, or be able to do a great deal, because a lot of people will be like, ooh, socialism. That stinks, because in America that word means it's
it means Russians in the 80s and the 60s.
He's definitely
and 50s.
Softened what the meaning of that is. To be fair, that was sort of natural to a degree anyway, because the younger people won't have experienced that Cold War Red Scare thing.
Also, American society generally just calls any public spending socialism, which they've never had a proper socialist movement nationwide to propose the kind of economic transformations that would be required under socialism.
There were communist candidates,
but not nationwide, not serious candidates. Yeah, but not serious candidates where they were, part of the national debate.
They got like 3 or 4% or something.
Yeah, sure.
But that's still notable. But it's not.
It's like
serious candidate. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. Although I'd still trust that they understood things better than fucking Gary Johnson, who didn't even know what was it Idlib was or something? Anyway, there's a place in Syria. Anyway, where are we? I've totally forgotten. Oh, no, I read that. Yeah, he's not revolution. Yeah.
I guess I just expect people to not buy that and to keep demanding better. And if all the candidates are some flavor of capitalist, then any vote is a compromise. And Warren versus Sanders is a question of compromise. And Warren versus Sanders is a question of which compromises you're willing to make. And then they had one more comment. Oh, there's still 4 more replies. It just cut off. Okay, here we go. There's 4 more to go. Let me scroll up, so don't start reading until it stops. There you go.
Every complaint I have about Sanders are the way. Every complaint is the way.
Are the ways.
The ways. There we go. So I was looking for a pluralism there. Anyway, pluralism, that's not a word, is it? Anyway.
Every complaint I have about
Sanders are the ways he's not left enough, and Warren is on some social issues to his left. This does not mean you should vote for Warren. It means you should demand better of Sanders. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I'm Kevin Logan, and I approve this message.
And I am utterly exhausted watching people do backflips, trying not to say, quote, race just isn't as important as economics, unquote. as if that were true, and as if we'd have to choose even if it were.
Fellow Sanders voters, I think we should get our shit together. /thread. Pie chart.
And then the
colors,
which is new, I think. Yeah, nice. Because I didn't see this last night. So
yeah, let's bigger that and see what it's about.
So here's the nuanced discussion. This is dismissive of Warren, dismissive of the article. Warren is a racist. So that's that section. Phishing and miscellaneous support. I kind of wish he would have done these a little more thematically and maybe with a grayscale coloring so that the parts that really should stand out more are easier to... I mean,
all right, nerd, get on with it.
But other than that, mild critique.
Well, do you know who invented the pie chart?
No.
Florence Nightingale.
Did she, for her health studies?
Indeed so, yeah. It's how she got... it's the big change she did make, because actually her hospitals were pretty shit at first, but she took down proper numbers in terms of the infection rates and the things they did and created what we now know as pie charts to show that visually to politicians, and they implemented them in hospitals in Britain and found it worked. That's
amazing.
That is amazing, yeah.
And she should totally get more credit for that.
She should, yeah. People just know her as the hospital woman from the Crimean War, but she was so much more. She was one of the great statisticians of her age.
There you go. Anyway. Visualizing data.
Indeed so. And it works because politicians are stupid. You need to put bright colours and pie charts in front of them, and they understand then.
To be fair,
have a nuanced discussion about fucking data sets then they fall asleep. Look, pie chart with nice colours on it, they're awake.
Oh, I see the difference here. I can see what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, so less people. So the bigger bit of the pie is the people not dying. Oh, cool. Let's do that.
Oh, maybe they should have showed Trump, like, when you do tests, you get more people quicker and then it goes away.
No, because he'll just look at it and go, oh, that looks like Pac-Man. Oh, look at that. And then go off on his fucking weird world and start tweeting about, I don't know,
Democrats.
Round people or something.
No, it's more Democrats. That's
the Democrats' fault. They're the president, didn't you know? They get to decide these things. The fact that they called it wrong is an issue, apparently.
Every time he uses Pocahontas, I report it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea that Twitter has any kind of rules is blown out of the water by the fact that he threatened to destroy the entire nation of North Korea on Twitter. Yeah. But that wasn't seen as a violent threat.
Well, no.
Even though when I say to a Nazi something rude, I don't really have any way of doing anything about that.
It is.
He can literally nuke North Korea. So that threat is an actual genuine threat.
The thing is that the difference isn't that he made a threat and they didn't view it as one and you did. The difference is he's president of the United States and they have a policy about politicians. I'm just hoping once he's no longer president that immunity will also lift and we can all mass report the fuck out of him and get him off Twitter. That's what I dream about.
Well, I dream about him in terms of service. Do we go with that?
No, please. It's my channel.
Okay. I dream about a time when...
in Minecraft.
His being able to take in oxygen and expel carbon dioxide ceases to work. That's cryptic enough, I think.
I don't think the FBI will call you for that one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying I'm going to bring about that state of affairs, but it's going to happen to us all.
Yes.
I just look forward to when that does happen, inevitably, for Mr. Trump.
It's almost like when it was treason to talk about the death of the king, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure this queen is fucking mortal at this point. She's about fucking 700. Jesus. I mean, she's never going to die. There's going to be a nuclear war and there'll be her and the fucking cockroaches still going.
There is 0.1% of the time that I feel my free speech is infringed upon. I live my whole life never feeling like, I've had my free, other than being false reported by, people, but that's a false report. But the one thing that I do have to really consciously pull myself back on is not even making a joke about, the president and killing. Because I am well aware that the FBI will be on the phone to me. Well,
you realize, you live in Germany as well, so presumably you have to stop yourself from doing Nazi stuff, like jokes or whatever, because that can actually get you in trouble.
Well, no, I mean, never. It's never gotten me in trouble so far.
No, it hasn't so far. But the point is, if you say certain things that could be perceived as promoting Nazism, even if you're doing a joke, could, in theory, get you in legal trouble, which is a little bit silly.
Happily, you're not in Germany.
I understand. Yeah, exactly. I would be fucked.
Don't do any stand-up about Nazi Germany while you're visiting Germany.
Yeah. And like they had when they reprinted, and I understand the obvious sensitivity and the reticence and all the rest of it, but when they released Mein Kampf, they reprinted Mein Kampf in Germany a couple of years ago, and they had to have an explanatory notes thing running throughout the whole thing, explaining why, like, oh, the bit he says here is a load of shit.
Yeah.
Like, again, I understand why they're doing that, because Germany's obviously got a very significant issue in that area in recent times, very much within living memory. But essentially, you have to treat people like adults to a certain degree.
Well, I honestly, I don't know that I find a parallel commentary that onerous. And in some ways, I wish they would do that with the Bible. I wish they'd passed that law, because I made the mistake of interacting on Twitter with some
so you say when he says he creates all the planets, and then he says let there be light, so he did the rest of it in the fucking dark.
Yeah
the man's a genius.
Well, if you play D&D more often, you know he has like low light vision, because he might be half elf or something.
No, he's got those special glasses you can buy on the internet, the night sight glasses.
Yeah, he just went forward in time, got the glasses, went back to the start of time,
By the way, anyone who owns those glasses that isn't like in the military is almost certainly some sort of murderer. Definitely. Why do you need those?
Yeah, well, getting back to Black Lives Matter and the militarization of police is a huge issue.
What do you mean getting back to? When we were discussing that?
We mentioned that Black Lives Matter was the group that protested Klobuchar.
Oh, Klobuchar, yeah. Oh,
sorry,
wow.
It made sense in my head. Yeah. Deep cut from the start of the show. It was my reference anyway. Okay, this is the end. Like, we're out of stuff. We've been out of stuff for the last 10 minutes, by the way, people.
Yeah. I think I did have something else.
Did you?
I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to remember like later and go, oh, fuck. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Never mind. Whatever it was, I'm sure it was really important.
I mean, I could go through some more bookmarks, but it's already like an hour and a half. Yeah.
We've given these fucking ungrateful little pricks enough.
There's a 3-hour show coming out on the podcast. So that was another thing I did this weekend. Yeah. I got us up to the 20th of February. So there's a podcast out now. Nice. There's a podcast out Wednesday, and then there's a podcast out Friday, because I didn't know when I would have another chance to make any podcasts. I didn't want to shoot my wad by Wednesday and then have a blank spot. So if you guys want to
that's a point. How do we feel that Super Tuesday is going to go?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So this, I mean, it's game changing in terms of the moderate lane. The thing that you need to look for is crossing the 15% threshold. And how many candidates actually make it across 15% will have, especially in California. If Bernie's I don't think it's possible anymore for him to be the only one. But if he were the only one who got it, he would end up with like 600 delegates or something huge like that. And or 300 plus. Should we look it up? I don't want to make this stuff up.
If you want to.
Yeah, I guess I have this thing about being accurate. So let's say Super Tuesday, and then CA, California. We'll see how many delegates are on the line. California primaries, no, not polls.
Got nothing to do with Poland. Stay out of it.
Yeah. Yep, here we go. Looks like, USA Today. I try not to use the New York Times because they limit the number of times you can do it, and I try to save it for the really good articles. Well, this is not helpful at all. This is extremely unhelpful. Is this a story? What the hell is this? USA Today? Come on. What are you, turned into the Sargon channel now? You only put headlines? What the hell is this? I didn't want to go to watch the latest. I wanted to go to the damn article. All right. I guess I'm going to have to do some sort of question. Sorry, everyone in the chat. You can move on with your lives. This is boring. How many? Yes, delegates. Oh, I'm not even going to take that USA Today bait now.
Yeah.
Me off.
Fuck you.
No,
I see it through your little ruse. Super Tuesday. Just go onto Wikipedia.
No, I want something that's looks like has information like 9 hours ago. Vox is good. Sorry, everyone.
You want to look. You want to look
Drinking
at something
fresh-
that's got more information. I'll
Come
go to
on.
Vox.
Yeah, I like Vox. Sorry, I'm drinking fresh squeezed orange juice, everybody. Oh, please don't be a video. Okay, no, I don't think it is. Right, 14 states and 1 territory. Here we go. There's the map. Oh my, look at all those little
But
blue
do you know
dots.
the territory, Kristi?
I don't know if it's Guam or...
It's American Samoa.
Is it? Okay. There we go. Well, thank you,
Which I
Kevin.
didn't even realise voted in anything because it's a million miles away. But
Oh, well, they're
apparently-
territories. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the least we can do. We own them. All right, so Super Tuesday. As you can see, a bunch of states across.
Which all
Most of the
those southern
South.
states look a little bit like a gun.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, you like an AK-47 with the handle
Yeah.
here, and then this is where the back would be with the. Yeah, and this is it's firing, so it's got like a muzzle flare or flash at the front. I know way too much about guns. I mean, I don't even have. I don't like that's just passive knowledge. Crap I picked up.
Yeah,
on
in
my
America, don't you just osmose gun culture?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, growing up in Wisconsin,
1,344.
pledge total on the whole day. So, yeah, but not California.
Who gives a fuck about California?
I
Fuck
do.
California.
They've got the biggest amount of delegates to assign. Why is there a Super Tuesday? Don't care. 415. Okay, so I'm right. Sorry, I was wrong. I think it's like 300 delegate lead. So yeah, that was it. Steve Kornacki had done some back of the envelope calculations with his delegate assigner. He found that Bernie, best case scenario, he wins with like 300 delegates, and worst case scenario, that's everybody clears 15%. He comes away with like 60. So the difference is huge as to how many people clear the 15% threshold tomorrow.
Oh, look at little Vermont.
Aww.
16. Oh.
Yeah.
American Samoa.
6.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, Democrats abroad are voting, but I don't vote with Democrats abroad. I vote absentee back in Wisconsin. I think this year might be important too.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night, or very, very early tomorrow morning for us here in Europe land.
In the correct time zone.
We're going to be watching results from a lot of states come in, and with the number of dropouts and the Klobuchar endorsement, don't know if Buttigieg is going to get his in before or not.
Yes, apparently they're both announcing this evening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Joe, okay, well, you can't say Joe's sleeping on this stuff. Joe is wide awake and
His
taking
team
advantage of it.
His team.
Yeah, fair enough.
Joe's probably asleep, to be fair. He's an old man.
He might
That's
be,
fine.
yes, yeah. But
just go for it. I hope he has a really good vice president and then just hands everything off to that person. And it's just like, yeah, if you need me, I'm going to be out back, probably having a drink.
Well, again, I think, Joe's going to have a lot of paperwork to do in that first year, undoing a lot of executive orders if he's in the White House.
Yeah, someone else can do that. Like, I'll sit here and then you ask me a question like, do you want to get rid of this thing? Yeah, go on then. And then I'll just sign the. Basically, I won't even bother signing it.
I can't believe you're promoting the Trump Sleepy Joe meme.
No, but I don't want him to. No, I'm not promoting it. I'm saying I hope he does it because I don't want him to be too hands-on because he's a bit mental. I want him to have just say, I'm not going to even bother signing the paper. I'll get one of those stamps made with my signature as the imprint, and you can just boom stamp it. Yeah, and then I'll see you later. I'm going to go and do some diplomatic stuff in Europe. Honest. I'm totally not going to go to the strip clubs. No, I'm not.
With Marco Rubio. No. Ted Cruz, yeah.
Ted Cruz is a swinger.
That's different. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got my sex clubs mixed up.
Yeah. And Joe, Joe will say to him, well, I was going to go to that place. What was it called again? I can't remember anyway. I'm going to go to my Alzheimer's meeting. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. So you kind of did the Jacob Wall thing, didn't you? That was it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I can't remember the exact name. It was called something like Brothers in Arms or something. That was the support group. And it doesn't exist. No proper journalist could find it. When asked for details, they wouldn't give any details. So this doesn't exist. And it's always, I can't remember it's something like Venunu.
I heard that all the way up, by the way. I heard that.
You heard what?
I heard it travel all the way up your esophagus.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad. There's the governor called something like Vanunu or something. I can't remember what state that is anyway. And they said they'd been in contact and like there'd been discussions about it. Because apparently it was happening in that state or whatever. And the governor's office said they're liars. They're literally lying to you. This isn't true. We've not spoken to Mr. Wall or his representatives at all.
Do they think people won't double check this stuff? I don't understand why they put these things out knowing.
But thankfully, it's dying. Their grift's dying.
Yeah, because
they're not even the journalists who want the easy column inches of Jacob Wall said a dumb thing. Even they're like, there's no point. Yeah. This is ridiculous.
Like for the laugh, I don't actually want to chase up the facts on this story.
Yeah, fuck this.
I can do that and go for a beer.
You know that when it's like you chase up a thing, sort of. I mean, in a way, you're hoping to find it because you want the story, but also you're kind of thinking, "Oh, I hope this isn't true." Whereas with this, you know it's not true, so there's no point chasing it up. You know it's not true.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I mean, they still do to absolutely prove the thing is nonsense, but yeah. Oh yeah, and he's still potentially in a lot of legal trouble in California.
Good.
Because of his securities fraud, potential alleged securities fraud. Yeah. Let's say.
Well, I think justice should be done if the law was broken.
So exactly. He's absolutely and then he'll just start doing fucking press conferences from prison with his top secret sources of Jake from cell block 7, who definitely said for sure that. Mike Pence is made entirely of cheese. Yep. So
putting out a press release. Oh my god, yes. My.
Anyway. No. So that was the show.
It was.
And we didn't do any stories about fingering this time. So
I'm actually I've already set that video to 18.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. I thought, and when the podcast goes out, I'm going to edit it discreetly, part of that part too. There's some things that you should have to have the restricted mode to access from that episode.
Which bits would they be, Kristi?
A little bit at the start and my stuff at the end.
Yeah. But not my story about about fucking whilst also thinking there's toilet paper in here. Good Lord.
That might stick in, but maybe I don't know.
That's what she said. Back.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think then I should wrap it up. Thanks to everybody in the chat for stopping by. Currently over 50 people. So, and I don't think I pushed it out on Twitter too much. So that's really nice. Thanks for coming by and watching the show. And of course, thank you as ever to my co-host who makes me laugh to the point where I cry and then my nose runs and then I end up spending the rest of the show coughing. Thanks, Kevin.
No, you're coughing because you've got coronavirus. Everyone stay clear of Kristi. She's infected. She is the human pigeon at this point.
Yes. Oh, and the shout out, what channel? Where's that fundraiser going on again that you were part of?
On the non-compete channel. American Johnson. Yeah. I haven't got the link though, but Cog put the link in the chat. He might not even still be here. I don't know.
Yeah, don't know. Anyway, yeah. But if you want to, definitely, if you're still on YouTube, just go ahead and click on the link in the chat and go watch that. And if you have a bit of extra money that you could, instead of getting a coffee or candy bar, could throw at the project, consider doing that as well.
Yes.
All right. And Tony in the chat says, nice one, guys. Wash your hands thoroughly. Stay away from Tories.
True. Although if you do go near Tories, again, wash your hands.
Yes.
Because they will leave a stink. But also, if you're part of the people who take a piss and or shit, whether standing up or otherwise, wash your fucking hands.
Yeah, everybody. Just generally. Not just because of this. Just generally wash your hands.
Think about the number of people whose hands you've shaken who might have been part of that.
If you meet some guy at his house, at the door, don't let him shake your hand. If you're
yeah, but not just that, but he'll have touched things in the house that you will touch. And there'll be bits of his fucking intestines. Oh.
Intestines. Oh. All right. Well, anyway, people in the chat have been awesome. People in the future watching all the way to the end, you are awesome as well. Goodbye from me and goodbye from Kev Kev. Say ugh, Kev Kev.
Ugh, Kev Kev.
Nice. Bye, everyone.